Hey, I hope this email found you well, or now this video. Thanks for clicking on the link. What I've done is in the email that you received to click onto this link is I'm going to show you some of the talking points that will be needed during the PowerPoint presentation during the curriculum map session of pre-planning. I'm also going to go over the agenda and some of the changes during of the PowerPoint that I have revised and sent to you. Let's first look at that email that I sent you. Make sure you have these attachments. There is an agenda attached to it, the middle school and the high school agendas. There is also middle school and high school changes to curriculum maps, attachments, and then finally the PowerPoint that you see right here. The PowerPoint that I have made some adjustments to since the Volusia Learns Institute when we convened to talk about this. Most of you are able to attend, but some of you actually were not able to attend, but I have volunteered to be a session leader during the curriculum mapping changes sessions during the pre-planning. So first and foremost, remember pre-planning has become a full day versus just a half a day like it has been in the past. And I want to make sure that we have all the attachments. So the things we're looking for, of course, are the agenda. This one happens to be the middle school one, but make sure that you print out the appropriate agenda before we dive into this video. And then also there are the curriculum map updates. Each area has their own. The high school had their own, and it was more than one page, and there are itemized changes in there. So for instance, that is the high school one. But what I would like to do before I dive into the PowerPoint is go over the agenda so you all can be kind of previewed on what the day will entail before we get started. So make a couple adjustments here. I'm going to get rid of this little video. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's try this again. This is fun. I'm going to work this out. I'm going to figure this out. No, 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 no. It's hiding. There. Okay. So let's talk about the agenda. Before lunch, it's basically exactly the same. And this is very similar to what we've done in years past. So you'll see that it is from 8 to 8:30. We have it's called the VCTMS. That's the Volusia County Teachers of Mathematics and Science membership drive. It'll be a little light breakfast, coffee and bagels as usual. That will be in the auditorium lobby of University High School on August 9th. And it's purposefully just a short, quick, get something to bite, and then we'll end up in the something to bite. Let me try it again. Something to eat, and we'll be in the auditorium in no time. The morning session from 8:30 to 9:55 is a little bit longer of a kickoff and welcome back than usual, but there's a lot more to go over during this pre-planning kickoff than in others. We have many new things going on. Textbook adoption, for instance, there'll be some details to talk about. Don't know how much detail I can go into it at that point, but there'll be some other items to talk about. And so we have that. So going right across the upper left hand or from the top, you'll see as usual, it's broken up into courses, whether you're high school or middle school, we have the courses column here. And you can see in middle school, we have it broken up into East and West and then the defined schools, which will define East or West. And then session one, that's where you all come in. You come in as the curriculum map resources and highlights on Canvas room leader. And so that's where the PowerPoint will come in handy. The talking points I go over will assist you. And it's just a 45-minute session. So it is kind of quick and to the point. And then we release them off to the resource fair. Resource fair will be in the cafeteria at University High School this year. And it looks like a lengthy period of time. For many, it could be this whole time. That would be as if a teacher does not have two preps. But in middle school, high school included, we have many duplicated sessions so that, like, say you're a sixth grade and you teach seventh grade, and you can spend some time in the resource fair, and then from session two, from 11:45 to 12:15, it is actually shorter because you're not necessarily going to have to go over all the Canvas information again. You would just go over the curriculum map revisions. And so if you are one of the people who have volunteered to do more than one session, for instance, you are leading the curriculum map East group, and you volunteered to do the second session of sixth grade, then you would then go over just the gist of the curriculum map changes for sixth grade and those types of things. And you can use the same PowerPoint that's been provided as a resource. And that gets us to getting us up to lunch. So please do encourage, and after the first session, to have all teachers go to the resource fair. The vendors are coming to show them their goods, and the people we target are those who have materials and supplies that can be purchased with our 1040 money, also known as the science materials money, sometimes called consumables money, but that's who I invite for these reasons. Microscope people, the other people who have many, many other different types of things who are not there and will not be there this time, or any publishers pushing any textbooks. They're not allowed to be during this time period pushing any textbooks. There's a particular time period here we don't have contact with publishers. So unless it's guided through our instructional materials department. I just want to make sure you understood that as a leader of this group, that we will not have textbook people talking to us about textbooks during pre-planning. Moving on to the lunchtime. So if you happen to be also a department leader, department contact, department head at your school, or a science coach, I'm going to be running I'm going to be running a department meeting for just an hour, and I'll include lunch for them so they actually get to eat. I thought I'd be nice. And that's from 12 to 1. So if you happen to be one of those people, I ask that you go to the media center at 12 o'clock. Moving to after lunch. This is where it gets a little complicated and then customized for middle school, high school. But just look, 12 to 1, lunch on your own. Next session starts at 1:15. So middle school will join in on what's called the PLC time. So from 1:15 to 2 o'clock, it's not a lot of time, but it's a little bit of time. And the main thing I need here, and I'm hoping that those of you that are running the curriculum mapping sessions will also be able to run this session. It's simply the convening of the teachers who will be picking their early release professional learning track. Um, I will go over more of this in the general session and emphasizing the importance of going to this session, which is, for lack of a better term, called session 3, after lunch. It is imperative that I get numbers of how many teachers will be, like, say, in the sixth grade science ERPLs later this year. I need numbers. So to kind of, and you'll see that middle school does that right away. And then they move into a remediation program session at the auditorium. So we have lots of DIA information, lots of Canvas information for middle schools to understand what's going on and all the new resources we have to remediate. Similarly with high school. So let me zoom to an agenda, the high school agenda after lunch. So here's the after lunch for high school. The high school teachers will, those that teach biology, earth space, chemistry, they will be going to the auditorium first to receive the information about the DIAs and their access to them. And biology will have a more enhanced explanation about how they will receive a remediation plan. There's a district-supported remediation plan now being provided to the biology classrooms, and we like to give them details about that. But if you're not one of those 3 courses in high school, then that leaves environmental, anatomy, physiology, marine science, physics. Those groups go right to their PLC. So that's 1:15 through the whole time, from 1:15 till 3 o'clock. So if you are one of those, this is the group we were talking about. When we're in this session, not only do we need them to choose their early release professional learning ERPL group, are they going to be East, are they going to be West? We need to also identify, and in that room, who are our newest teachers. to Volusia County. So remember, they consist of those brand new to teaching and those who are new to Volusia County schools but might have years of experience. I'm asking you as the curriculum map leader and a leader of this session to kind of facilitate the discussion on who in the room is, what are our levels of experience, and then you can kind of get. I know some of you are already thinking of ways to what to do during that time, whether it be the physics group looking at some what was it, demonstrations or some discrepant events. The This time period, this video doesn't mean we've got it all figured out, but I really wanted you all to figure how to spend this time with your colleagues, and it is really about planning. So in the room there'll be your curriculum maps, of course, we'll receive during the day, and then there's also we'll have some blank calendars that are like the ones that are in the curriculum map for teachers to kind of group out their pacing on the calendar itself, just some things to facilitate some dialogue between how long does it take you to teach this and when do you teach that, and just pacing it out. That's just some ideas. I'm totally open to what you do, but the idea behind this is to get together and PLC. And you get to PLC with people that are outside of your school. And for many of these groups here, you don't have many in your PLC at your school because you're either a singleton or there's just not many of you teaching this course. So this will be a great time to get together with people across the district and share some ideas. It's a not a lot of time, but at least it's a little bit of time. And let's go back up to the top, because in the beginning, biology, earth, space, and chemistry teachers were in the auditorium for an assessment discussion. But when that's finished, they're to go into their PLC. So the goal would be from 2:15 to 3 o'clock, and for them to identify particularly that which early release professional learning group they will find themselves. During the general session, I'll be defining that it's imperative that they kind of make a decision that they will go to. If they teach on the East, then they're going to go to the East biology, for instance, and that'll be a number which I'm counting on to be at that location when we get to it during the year. A few other things to think of, and as if you're high school, is what if um, I teach Bio 2 and AP biology. Where's my session? It's it's going to be grouped into all biology teachers go to biology. If you teach chemistry and physics, you're going to be asked to pick one of them. If you went to the chemistry assessment session, because you should, but you'd more prefer to join the physics purple later in the year, that's a scenario that could really happen. I would suggest that you go ahead and get your assessment information and then also jump into the physics PLC when you're finished with the assessment information. Anyway, so that was a bunch of talk for high school specific, and down below we have what's defined, which schools are defined by their location in the east and west. In case there's any questions, remember we got all teachers new to Volusia County schools who don't know these schools, don't know where they fall, and each agenda has the buildings in which we will be utilizing that day, and then I've also included some areas that are close by University High School to eat. So that's the agenda, and hopefully that makes some sense. And if it doesn't, I'll gladly field some emails after you receive this. So let's keep going to get to the PowerPoint. We're already at 13 minutes. Okay, so first slide obviously changed, and I would recommend that you put in your course name right here, so that's the first thing they see, greeting them as they walk into the door. Make sure they know that they're in the right place. If you had already customized something like environmental, or well, I know marine science probably has a dolphin on the front, right? Just kidding. I know you guys with the marine science and the dolphins. The That would be ideal. My slightly manipulated Volusia County logo and the name of the course right there. So feel free to customize that. So let's go through the talking points. Also below, I'm going to remove my picture here in a second, but below you'll see that I've written notes for you to print out. They're the talking points that you would include with each slide. so that you kind of stay on message, and then hopefully maybe it'll answer a question that it might pop up. And if it doesn't, I'll be roaming around. But let me go ahead and just go right into presentation mode here so you can see. So of course, this is the talking point that includes the before and after curriculum map. The far right column was one time included our academic vocabulary for science, and it no longer is there. We have replaced it with the original standards. And the idea behind that is as teachers are teaching through the curriculum this year, and they'll see the unpacked standards, that they can also look over at the far right and see what the original standard said. Make sure that the unpacking is consistent, but more importantly, there's some exercises during the school year, especially during the ERPLs, that this will be a handy tool to have and refer to as going right to the original standard, not having to go to CPOMs to find out what it originally stated. Um, don't fret. Remember to give them the message as we haven't gotten rid of the vocabulary. It's now in the back, and it is broken up by weeks and units, and they're still there. So those who do rely on those to use to guide them through a unit and making sure they're hitting the imperative vocabulary while in context, that is still also provided. The instructional calendar, by lots of suggestion, with sorry, lots of suggestions from the curriculum mapping groups, trying to do something, but it's not working. We've included the academic instructional calendar here in the curriculum map, and then our contact information also, which I realized we've never had the district office curriculum uh, offices, any of our contact information in the curriculum map, but there it is. This one, we had edits on the 5E instructional model. Reasons being first of all, the descriptions have been edited down a little more simplified to just mention uh, like what the students would be engaged in if they were in this stage. So for instance, we took away any specific examples of what you might see during the stage because there's many different instructional practices that you might see in multiple stages. And what was happening is potentially pigeon kind of a, am I trying to say, making a particular activity an instructional practice only good for one particular stage of the 5E instructional model. So for instance, the lab. A lab could be used during it could be an engagement, definitely. It definitely could be an explore to provide a common hands-on experience for all the students. It might even be a time in the timing in the stages for an elaborate when it's time to solidify a concept that was being taught and applying it to a real world situation. So the 5E will be mentioned during the general session PowerPoint in the morning. So this won't be something that you have to own and totally uh, convey, but it will be something that you know why it's been put on page 6 of all curriculum maps, and that it is also going to be highly supported this year via the professional learning plan from the district science office and everything we do, because it's more than just a page in the curriculum map. It's going to be supported as a endorsed process of planning and delivering instruction in the classroom, and it's highly effective. All right, so let's go to the Canvas stuff. This is going to be new for the teachers that are experienced with Volusia County. They're familiar with, of course, they're familiar with um, Edmodo, but those new to our district might not even realize that we house resources for the teachers to have access to and ways to share. So Canvas is going to be our new platform for this, and it's really clean and simple to use. And Canvas is going to be our new place to really communicate across the district. So on the V portal, again, remember your audience, you're going to have experienced teachers and people new to the district. You might even mention that, what the heck is this V portal? You can say it's a place where we go from our homepage of Volusia County Schools homepage, where we access all these locations and these things internally. This isn't something that's accessible by people outside of our district, but we use this. So Canvas is our new learning management system. and it is going to house many, many great things. So for one, when you click on Canvas, the goal is that you don't need you won't need a code like you did in Edmodo. You won't need a link. The goal is that it will be connected to you via your course code or codes in which you teach. So for all sixth grade teachers who teach course code, fill in the blank, they would have access to the sixth grade Canvas site for their ePLC, electronic PLC. So it's going to house all the materials and supplies and places to communicate. So you can read these things right off the slide or become so familiar with them so you're not reading. But you can see to the right of your course, you'll see all of your courses. Select the course for your content area. All science courses are indicated with ePLC. I have links to every single one of them, so my dashboard's totally full. But if you only teach one course, you're not going to have many, many here to pick from unless you're connecting to other courses for other reasons, and there's plenty of reasons why. But that would be your dashboard in Canvas. The a screenshot of the whole Canvas homepage from top to bottom is here, but I'm going to actually go live to Canvas. It's just a little bit easier to explain it. You might consider doing the same if you still have access to the course we gave you during curriculum mapping. But from top to bottom, I just pulled up the 8th grade one, for example. So the 8th grade EPLC, they all start off with a discussion board. This is a Padlet, and it's on there right now. Is it something we'll keep forever? I'm not 100% sure, but all these things we will do with feedback. But right now, it's kind of a great place just to kind of talk. We use it during curriculum mapping a little bit in some of the groups where we can just kind of pose questions or pop resources. But this won't be the place we put resources anymore. We have a process for that. Scrolling down right now, we have a live feed to the hashtag VCS Science, and that's the Twitter hashtag that I have been strongly encouraging to utilize and share out like student work, classroom activities on there to share to the district as a whole really quickly. It's been amazing. If you're not a Twitter type person, and when you mention this to your audience, you might not be. Someone in the audience may be, but I really need you to kind of understand the purpose behind that is that it's like an instant share of great ideas. And I saw multiple times where like a school on the east was doing something, a classroom on the east was doing something, and I saw it and I knew it may be live. And then I saw Twitter shared the similar activity a couple days later, and it wasn't one of our resources. So it wasn't like something they pulled out from a resource. They shared it because they saw it on Twitter, monitoring Twitter, like, hey, that was a cool idea. Where did you get that? They emailed the teacher directly, got a link to the resource, and then before you knew it, their students were doing that actual activity. And it's happening more and more and across all over the place. So it's really cool. And you can see that we have Jumpstart Biology going on right now as we speak, as I create this recording. So that's what's going on. And this is a live link, which I'll talk about in a minute. And down here is the ERPL groups, which I will talk about again in another minute. But this is going to be an area I don't want you really to, you don't have to click on it or elaborate because it is going to be for the ERPL time period. And the directions will be to, if when you get live link to your own course, to please not go in there. And well, I'll show you what it looks like. It's basically access to, say we're in 8th grade and we're in the East early release PD. During that ERPL, we're going to be able to break up those groups into multiple subgroups. You might recall this from the Volusia Learns Institute when we were discussing this. And those subgroups are going to be like really important to kind of house some information. But I'm going to just back page. See if it'll work while I'm on this video. No, I went too far. And the easy thing is you just click the home button to get back if you get lost. And I would say it's easy, but when your little video face is on the corner and you can't see the home button, that's a little hard. Okay, so, and then here's where like, these were file folders during in Edmodo. These are now links and clicks. So to get all the acids and bases resources for 8th grade, there you go. Um, that's pretty much what the Canvas site looks like. And you could go live if you want. If you're comfortable enough, go for it. If not, you can just use this PowerPoint to kind of click through it. So right now, I mentioned that the DIAs are going to be accessible on that area of the PowerPoint, or I'm sorry, of the Canvas site. So this is pertaining to all courses now that have DIAs. So if you happen to be leading a group that doesn't have the district interim assessments, you could actually you could delete these slides because you're not going to be talking about this, but I'm going to continue on my recording here. And you kind of fast forward the video until you get to the end and then join us back. So this one is the DIA schedule. And if you recall, Mike was going over this, that when you click on the DIA schedule in Canvas, that access to the DIA will only come during the time period, like when the draft is released, this becomes a hyperlink and active. These will be here in description, but you can't click on them ahead of time. So when when he activates it, then it's when it's released for review. And then there's a process for review we'll talk about. And the last day for review, and then the final version is released, and that's when you can start administering the DIA. We of course have suggested dates to when to do the DIA, and the final day for scanning. And then as always, things happen. Just communicate with Mike or myself about if you need any extension. We know we'd prefer the students to take it when they're ready and not because of a calendar, but you got to always remember, I guess, this is, so always remember that we're willing to, open up and extend windows if needed, but you can convey that the end of the year always comes. So we have to figure out if you're giving, where does it take from? And so teachers are really good at generally making those adjustments, but we just want to you can convey that message for us if you're talking about that. So when you're in the DIA area, there's a comment board. So he gave here's like a screenshot of what it looks like. This is important because we do, as it's been, we've collected information during the draft phase of DIAs. We've collected information on question items that someone might think is inaccurate or not a good question. And we, as it stands, we'll review the email. If there's something like drastically inaccurate, we will make a change immediately. Many of these questions they've been vetted many times. Some of the things that come up are brought up often, and doesn't mean that they're not valid concerns, but there's an answer to the concern that involves usually kind of replying as to why it is worded this way or why it's still in there like that. And it isn't just a Mike and Jeremy decision. It has gone through a committee. But what we'll do is, if there is time, we'll make the change before the release of the final draft. If it's not something that can be done, but it needs to be addressed during the DIA assessment revisions at the end of the year, all those emails are brought up and gone over, and then the committee kind of discusses through whether to make changes or not. Well, that's one way to do it. The other way now we're going to encourage is, if there's an item that is of concern, that live DIA comment board. So as the DIA is released, there's an area to go, I have a concern with number 5 because da 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 da. You post it. It's a public discussion between not just Mike and myself, but everybody who teaches that course. That dialogue could happen early, saying, yes, we also saw that last year, and here was our answer as to why we've kept it this way, or good catch, we didn't see that. This is making this process really transparent, and it's a little more timely, and then you can actually see the decision-making process as to how an item will get revised. So this is going to be a really big thing, and I like the transparency of it. We got to use it though. You can't wait till the day before we're going to release the final draft, the final, not the draft, but the final version before assessment. So that's why we release it early. And that being said, also, I'm going to mesh, never mind. We'll talk about that in another session. The folders from Edmodo, you saw those already. We just transferred what was in Edmodo and we put them in there. Sorry that my face is still covering that. I just realized the we transferred the resources over, and during this process, we had the curriculum mapping committee. As we were doing this process, we've maybe filtered out a few that were bad links or that were no longer applicable for whatever reason. And then there was also some enhancement of what resources have been added. So it's important to also note that anything that's in here, teacher really ultimately has the responsibility to make sure that what you're putting in front of your students is accurately um, to the standard and to the science standard, uh, and make sure you're just a good steward of the curriculum that's going in front of the students, that it's teaching what you want it to teach and that it's what the state of Florida has asked us to teach. And you can't go wrong if you're sticking to the standard. So that's just a little caveat there, just to know as you're clicking on there, um, be picky about the things that you put before the kids. And let's see here. So inside one of those resources, for instance, if you clicked on the activities for weather and climate, you'll see their hyperlinks. There's a place down here where you could also add a resource. So if you found a resource that's good for, it'll be under weather and climate because that's where you clicked. You could put it there. It doesn't mean it would end up in the folder, but it's something we can all look at in the office and see if we'll pop it up as an official resource. And that's live for everybody in this case, sixth grade, to use and check it out. And I believe, if I remember correctly, when you do that, Mike said there's a place for, after you attach the file, the resource, a little explanation. It's not in here, but there's a feature where you can click like. So you might even receive a few likes, kind of like social media, for your contribution. All right, so again, if you ever get lost, you can go to the home button in Canvas and it'll get you right back to where you belong in the beginning. And there's the ERPL thing. I have it in here still in your PowerPoint to address, to basically not go in here until instructed to during, it'll be actually September 1st on the professional development day, but during the early release PDs, early release professional learning, sorry, those are the days we're going to access this area that includes the ERPL picture. All right. I believe that is all, and I know I'm 33 minutes into this video, and I apologize it's becoming a half an hour, but it's better to have this quick little like professional learning on the side, get you ready for the pre-planning. And as always, I'm no problem giving me an email if you have any questions. I guess probably the only thing that's kind of up there is that second half of the day, what is exactly expected of those the groups that have a longer period of time, like environmental, the physics group, marine science, etc., that don't have the assessment. Just if you want to bounce some ideas off me, it's okay, but just kind of think of the whole group there, and you might have some brand new teachers. This would be a really good time to kind of pair them up with some veterans, and you guys just sit down together and plan out your first 9 weeks as a goal. Um, Other than that, this is kind of all a little bit of an experiment, and this whole year is going to be quite interesting with professional learning. And the pre-planning is different, being a full day. And I do really appreciate you stepping up to be a leader in behalf of your course and kind of just guide the people who also teach with you in that course. And I'm going to see how I can figure out how to stop this thing. But anyway, thanks again. Give me an email if you have any questions, and I will see you very soon.